let's talk about what was announced at BlizzCon. And we actually have an article. We'll link to it in the show notes at GankBushSquad.com. But so basically, they announced performance-based matchmaking, a rework of stealth, a new camera angle, laning improvements, different changes to taking bruiser camps, as well as new roles, and lastly, everyone's favorite today, for some fucking reason, it's voice chat. But let's go ahead and talk about performance-based matchmaking. So basically, what this is going to be is that for every character played, it's going to look at roughly 20 stats, and they're going to weigh the stats differently by character, by region of the world, as well as by map and the time of the game being played.
By region of the world.
Yeah. So if you're playing in Korea versus Europe, it's going to be different.
So you're like a gold NA and then bronze Korea.
I think, like, again, they don't talk about the weighting at all, but they did say that they're going to look at it, break it out by where you're playing. And so also, like, games at shorter lengths will be normalized with games with longer lengths as well. So if you stomp someone, you'll still get credit if you were played really well. But basically what's going to happen is that your MMR, even if you lose a game, your MMR will decrease, but it will not decrease at the same amount as everyone else's. So if you played really well, you'll still lose some MMR, but you won't lose as much. I mean, we won't know how much, but basically it signals to the fact that if you play well, you will be somewhat rewarded for doing so. Also, if you're doing a Smurf account, you can no longer possibly, under this theory, that you can no longer game the system and get a Smurf and just, do what Tower Baron did and place in a gold and then...
Tower Baron, that's like what everyone did.
Well, right. You could argue that if this was enacted earlier, Tower Baron wouldn't have to Smurf. He would rise, just naturally using the MMR system.
No, exactly. So the one thing is that they showed a graph that Bacon has right now of a Grandmaster level player taking over a Bronze 5 account and showing how he or she grinded back to the Master level. And they showed with the new MMR system, they would do that in roughly half the amount of time of the current system.
The old system was 251 games to get to Master's ranking MMR. And with the new system, it took 131 games. So roughly half the amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing I will say is that this all looks really great, but I'm still waiting for the actual, notes to come out. Because they haven't released any.
Well, they're not going to tell you the notes because then people are going to try to game it.
I really doubt that they're going to give you any details on how it works.
Well,
I was like, I'm just going to get my Asmodan, dunk stats or stacks off.
So this is my take on this, is that it sounds really good, and I think it's very easy to
get overexcited
about this. If you're a Silver 4 player and you're trying to get out of Silver, don't think of this as a quick fix to get out of Silver. If it will still take a lot of games to get out. But if you
look at this graph, though, the steepest part of the graph is in the first, was it like 50 games?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you will jump up really quickly on those first 50 games.
That is a Masters player being matched up against gold to bronze level players, and they're being completely outplayed by the Masters player. So of course it's going to be a steep jump.
Well, it's steeper than it was before.
Towards the end of the system. Yeah, towards the end of the graph, kind of levels out because he's actually getting matched up with players near his ranking. So that's why it kind of slows down. But yeah,
that's the biggest part of the graph, because the slope of the graph past like the halfway point, like 100 games, is kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest jump comes in the early part of the games. That's the biggest difference.
Yeah, but be aware though, Silver 4 players still exist. It will help you find your actual placement. It will not boost you up higher. If you're a Silver 4 player, you will go to Silver 4 very, very fast.
Yes, you will start to see the plateau of that curve at Silver 4 if that's your natural inclination. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But if there's a discrepancy, you will reach your intended level sooner. And that's what I think what everyone wants.
So this is my analogy on it. So basically, if you're trying to lose weight, right? Let me just finish the thing. So it's like if you want to lose 20 pounds, it's still going to take you about a year to do so. But the only thing this will do is that if you actually get a gym membership instead of just going out running on your own, then you'll be able to maybe lose that weight faster if you have a gym membership, or if you have an in-home gym That's basically what it is. You still have to do the hard work to lose the weight, but it may be a little bit easier if you put in more hard work than everyone else. That's basically what it is.
And then you hire.
I don't know what you're talking about. But the big question
you hire
is
somebody to create your meal plan and
chew your food for you or something.
Right. No. But I mean, again, it makes it a little bit easier. It's kind of like like in the Rocky 3, where Rocky is training in in Alaska, and
dude, that's Rocky 4, dude.
Whatever it
Rocky
is.
Rocky 3 is against Clubber Lang.
Anyway, it's like Rocky 4, where the Russian guy is training with in this high tech
Ivan Drago.
He's training in this really high tech gym, and Rocky's in Alaska lifting up
Dude, he's in Russia.
He's
wherever
in
the fuck
Russia,
he is.
Alaska.
He's in the snow.
Did he cross the Bering Strait to go
if
fight
you live in
Ivan
Alaska,
Drago?
you can see Russia from your house.
Anyway.
Same thing.
that's only in very small portions of Alaska.
Hey,
And I learned that from Sarah Palin. Are you calling her a liar?
Yes.
Also, Blemish is from Alaska, so he can actually back this up to be true.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but anyway,
and
you fight Russians there?
Yeah, you wrestled them like bear.
so lastly is that not lastly, but another thing is that I think this is actually going to be helpful. I feel like people will less likely troll in the game now, knowing this is out there.
You have no idea how dedicated I am to trolling, apparently.
Yeah, the trolls out there are very proud of their trolliness.
But
have you seen Bilbo Swaggins?
But Byron
Those
doesn't
swagons?
Play ranked, so it won't happen.
It's because I'm not a good
I think
troll.
that's the question we have to talk about. Why would they make these changes? Are they wanting to get more people to play ranked? Do you think more people play ranked if there's these changes?
I think it's two things. They want to reward better players, right? And they also want to I think it's also for all the lower level players to say, oh, I mean, I can't grind out of silver. It gives them well, Blizzard's going to well, fuck you. We have 20 stats. You're not good. That's
I think a lot of people don't play ranked, not because they can't level up. I think a lot of people don't play ranked because of the toxicity, to be honest.
Well, again, I think
to speak on that is they said with this new system, they are more able to recognize, automatically through the system that who's trolling or who's, proper,
See, that would
throwing
get me to play
games
Hero
on
League
purpose.
if I wasn't playing Hero League. If they said something like that, they could tell who's just,
if they can weed
Kind of
out
the game.
assholes quickly and
Yeah.
silence them out of the Hero League queue, and I mean that's just a better system all around. But for those who are kind of worried about specialist split pushing and kind of gaming the system, you have to realize that to game the system, you just have to play well. That's the only way to actually game the system, because if you just split push and focus on that is only one metric you are doing well in, and the game takes into account 20 other metrics in the game and compares it with all the other split Zagara players in your region. And if it doesn't line up with what other good Zagaras are doing and your numbers don't match up, you are not going to get the benefit from that MMR system, because only one or two of your stats are good and then everything else suffers for it. That means you did a below average game. The system learns on that. So the player behaviors of that specific hero in your specific MMR range for that region, it's all taken into account.
And also, I don't think they actually said this, but I think if you got carried, you're not going to get as much MMR for wins as well. I hope. Right?
You wouldn't.
Probably not, because that means your stats have suffered in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, again, if you're in Team League and you're playing with, if I'm playing with 4 Grandmasters and we win, I shouldn't get nearly as much as everyone else. Theoretically.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're playing with really good tank players and they just send you up for easy shots, you can have good numbers, but it's really enabled by the other players. I think the most important thing with this whole change is knowing that you won't lose as much points, MMR points, if you play well on a losing game. That's the biggest thing. It's kind of like if you're losing, well, we're all going to lose anyway. I don't want to really play anymore. But then you have more incentive to not go AFK or troll or anything.
Mm-hmm.
The whole getting extra points for playing a little bit better, that's a little bit harder to judge. Because Scott was saying last week that, let's say you had to sacrifice yourself.
The graph just showed you
out
that.
the game.
The graph just showed you that. The graph just proved you wrong. What are you talking about? That graph shows if you're really playing well, you'll move faster.
I'm not saying what it does. I'm saying that like it disincentivizes players trying to win the game for trying to save their own stats. If you can get more points by playing well. Scott brought up that example last week or 2 weeks ago that maybe you have to sacrifice yourself to stall out a game so you can win and take the core. That's going to hurt your stats because you're going to have one more death on your benchmark.
I mean, ultimately, a win is a win.
Yeah, a win is a win.
If you win the game,
that's the biggest metric.
Remember,
what if two of you have the chance to stall? It's like, I'm not going to stall.
No. What happens is that
I'm going to get more points even if you win and you take the death.
If you lose the game, if you lose a game, you lose MMR. Like nothing's going to stop that. So you're better off sacrificing yourself because then you don't, instead of getting 100 MMR points, you'll get like 75. You want more. You don't want to lose a game. Like they don't want you to lose a game.
It's about losing less and winning more.
Exactly.
You're still winning the base amount that you were going to get anyway, and then whatever on top of that, that's the MMR system.
Well, this goes kind of back to the MVP thing that Scott was talking about.
I mean, if you dying means you win the game, then you're gonna die. You lose 5% more MMR because of that.
Let's just say there's two of you that could stall a game, and you just say, well, you take the death. Like I want to get more points when we win, and there's like this chicken thing going back and forth.
Those things happen. First of all, those happen like in a split second. Usually, there's never really any talk about it ahead of time. I'm not dying. You're dying. No, I'm not. That happens like within like 10 seconds.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you have this get more points, if I'm the MVP type of thing.
I think you're going way down the rabbit hole and overthinking it. I think that's like conspiracy stuff. That's way too much.
I'm just saying, I like the fact that you cannot lose as many points by playing well on a losing team.
But you're talking about
the whole
that scenario that you described. It probably will happen 1 out of every 500 games. Like I don't really care about that.
Yeah, and read the chat. As Super Dave says, winning still gets you a majority of the points.
Exactly.
Winning matters.
Exactly. So that scenario won't happen ever. So all right, let's move on from that. So they decided to rework stealth. I think for the better, right? Yes. No.
Yep. It's no longer an eye test.
Yep.
I actually kind of liked the active camo system that they had, but
what a surprise! Troll.
I seem to be the only one.
Yeah, what a surprise! The troll likes the trolly aspect of it. Oh, there we go. We actually have it up.
Yeah.
So basically, how it works is that if you're moving, they can see you, but once you stop moving for 1.5 seconds, then you cannot be seen whatsoever. And I think that's a pretty good trade-off. And they're actually going to rework, Samuro, Nova, Zeratul,
Valera.
Yeah, Valera.
Is this going to be the case for all stealth characters, or is this going to only be the case for characters who have essentially permanent stealth?
Like Ultronda, Shadowsock.
Greymane as well.
Yeah.
Hammer? Hammer stealth.
Yeah. But, I think that's so.
But in the case of Hammer, I think if the complete invisibility goes in, then she will be completely invisible. Because Hammer's not moving with that talent.
Yeah, because the question that I would have is someone like Samuro going to now have just complete invisibility because his invisibility is shorter lived.
The 1 second complete invisibility is still there, but after that he becomes the new Shade. But to make up for that, they buffed other parts of their kit. So, like Nova, she still has the 3 second before cloaking, but now she also has like an active ability on her D to go cloak instantly. Samuro gets the Illusion Master version, like baseline, so he can like switch clones from level 1. There's little things in the game.
That actually should make him very fun and interesting to play, considering no one took that talent.
But yeah, it's good for the game that stealth is not as toxic because lower level players couldn't see the stealth very well. Hell, neither did I with my shitty ass settings or on dark maps. And so it's just better for the game that the stealths aren't nearly as toxic feeling. You feel like you have counterplay against them, but you see them much more easily.
Well, there also is another change they put in, like anti-stealth with the towers having true sight as well.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
Before you could just kind of walk behind the back lines and see if there's an Abathur there or someone there and just gank them when they're hearthing back or something.
Anyway, I think it's good. I mean, actually, I don't play stealth heroes and I don't play quick match, so I never see stealth. So,
have you ever played a stealth hero?
No, I don't. I think it's kind of chicken shit.
You've never played Zeratul?
Never even once played a stealth hero. Wow.
To get him to level 5, I mean, like, it gets AI, I guess. But no, I see no appeal to, like, roaming in the dark and then killing someone. Like, I get no enjoyment from that.
Seriously? That's one of the most fun parts of the game.
I don't know. I don't really care.
It's just super hard
I agree with Matt. I recognize that Zeratul is a playmaker. I just don't want to deal with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I think it's, you know, again, I'm pretty sure a large portion of the player base loves, you know, Nova and you know, Valera, but I mean, because I get it, you know, you work your shitty job, you come home, you want to kill someone, you know, you want to troll people, I get it, you know, you just want to be with Valera and just be next to someone and just blow them up, I get it, but, you know, I actually like my life, so I don't need to play those characters.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
wow.
right.
That's right.
Shots fired.
All right, hot take, huh?
Yeah. Shots fired.
Somebody's passing judgment over others over there, I see.
Speaking of passing judgment, let's move on to the
Serial?
The voice chat. The voice chat. Apparently, like the world went on fire. At least on Reddit. If the world was Reddit. So I think voice chat is a good idea, but apparently some people think that, like, if you have voice chat, people are going to belittle minorities or women, I guess, for some strange reason.
That
we are
does
all
happen.
against that, by the way.
I think that they're going to belittle people.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that there will be targeted specifically.
Exactly.
Any more than usual, anyway.
Yeah, I think people.
And I think that if there is voice chat, it should be opt-in. And if you opt in, that is the risk you run. This is the internet we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't get it.
But also, this is like 5 middle-aged dudes talking about this, and we don't have to put up with this shit. There is a problem
definitely
about
millennials.
Middle-aged?
I mean, there are definitely women out there who put up with this bullshit.
We're not the core podcast. We're not middle-aged. What are you talking about?
All right, young adults. What do you want? Bunch of. I mean, we don't have to put up with the shit, but a small segment of the gamer population has to. But the arguments they're using, you know, that they're gonna get harassed. Every new social media platform and little feature that they add in, like I remember when Twitch first came out, and I was reading a Reddit comment saying that when Twitch first came out, that it would be bad for, you know, minorities and women because of the harassment aspect. And, you know, it's made every time like a new social media thing comes up, like Facebook, the new avenues that people like that will get harassed. It happens every time, right? We just release it and some people have to deal with that shit, but there are ways to combat it by blocking people and reporting them. So
I can do you one better. When the telephone came out, they thought that this would be a horrible thing for the moral fortitude and constitution of everywhere, because how would you know if the person on the other line was maybe in their nightshirt or maybe not dressed properly? It could be a scandal. Yeah, I get it. People are shit. Deal with it. You want to live in the world?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'll say. So we didn't know David 2 years ago. Like, we just played a game with him, and we added him on Skype. He was fine. Well, sorta. And then,
sorta.
I'm all right, as much as anybody else is. I think I'm okay.
Exactly. No, like then, like, you know, Bacon was a random guy in Windtime. I didn't know who he was, and now he's here. You know?
Yeah, it's pros and cons to anything. There's consequences to doing anything. And if you want to interact with people, occasionally you're going to meet an asshole. That's really just all it is. It's just a bunch of assholes. And occasionally you run into them.
Yeah, I don't know why.
If you want, watch the South Park on Chat Roulette.
Yeah.
Where, you know, is where you see a lot of dits.
Yeah, he's taking his pants off now.
Yeah. Again, like,
little did you know that every person you'd meet on Chat Roulette would just be Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Found a way to bring it back, didn't you?
Yeah, thank you.
But anyway, like, I don't know. I think it's a great thing. I've been asking for this for at least a year now. You know, Caldor's been wanting this for like 2 years, I guess. I don't see any negatives unless, you know, I don't see any negatives to this, but apparently people on Reddit think there's lots of negatives, which I don't understand.
I don't see any inherent negatives. I definitely see additional avenues for sick fucks to be sick fucks. But I mean, what would you like me to do about that? Would you want me to fly to their house and beat the shit out of them individually? Or like,
Yeah.
What none of us can have nice things because some people try and ruin them.
Exactly.
The report system exists, and blocking exists.
Yes, report them, block them, and you can see, in the meantime, call them assholes who fuck their mothers, which is what they mostly are.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I've been on voice comms with another player, I've had some awkward interactions, but never any salty interactions. So
never ever.
Never ever.
I have.
Anyone outside people outside this podcast.
I mean, until David starts talking about Kevin Spacey, maybe in the 25th minute of that conversation, it starts getting a little salty. But outside of that, nothing much.
To be fair though, like the only bad conversations I've ever had, it's always been with the GankBush Squad on voice comms. Never like with anyone else. It's only with us internally.
We do sometimes troll each other, but that's consensual, all right?
Yeah, I know, but
we're not going to bother consenting adults who like to get on voice chat and rip each other on Facebook or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, every one-timer that I've ever played with, it's always been at the very least cordial. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've played with over maybe 40 or 50 of you, and there's never been any issues whatsoever. So, but anyway,
I would disagree with that, but I don't want to.
Are you calling out Jiggly?
Sometimes you say, "Oh, this guy. I'm never playing with this guy ever again."
Well, that guy's not a one-timer though, and he was on a voice chat today, so I don't know who that guy was. But he was bad.
That's true, right?
That is true.
He was a bad guy. Okay. No. There's no voice chat with that guy. He trolled us in the draft.
Right. You've successfully argued your point.
I'm
sorry.
Thank you. All right. So let's move on. So I want to talk about the new camera view. That looks really cool. You're going to have a wider shot, which is great.
Let me look that up.
Okay. Do you want me to stall it out? Oh, there it is.
Stall it out.
This is the current one. This is the new one. Old, new. Old, new.
Nice.
It's like 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Before, after. Look at it. It's all skinny. Mm-hmm. No fat.
Quick question: does it help if you have a bigger monitor now with this change?
Some players have been getting ultra wide monitors. You can stand in the middle of the fort and see both left and right forts.
Oh,
in the middle of the lane and see both left and right forts.
Bear in mind though that Fog of War still exists. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
but the bad thing is the mini map and everything, it's on the corners of the monitor, so you have to look for that much further to look at the mini map or your health. So it's a pain. It's a plus and minus thing.
So I want to move on to landing improvements. Specifically, the towers or the turrets. I'm sorry, the turrets will no longer have a finite number of ammo. It's going to have unlimited ammo. So I think we can all agree that's a good thing. I guess it means now, kill the entire turret before you leave, I guess, if possible.
So, is there a health bar on the new one? Because I saw that same image, and you have to actually hit it for the health bar to come up.
There's a health bar.
Mm-hmm. The health bar will show up as soon as the tower takes damage. Full health things do not have a health bar, and I'm assuming that will be a thing that persists on this. Yeah, but it's going to make people commit to laning, so they're not going to be able to play Zool and then just lane very safely, allowing their minions to do basically all the work. They're going to have to go forward and actually engage the turrets if they want to make progress.
No, it's taking damage. I don't see any health bar. I don't know what's with that. See, I was thinking about that too.
So there are buttons you can press to turn that feature off when you're looking at a replay. This is probably what that footage is from.
All right.
Whoever recorded it probably turned off the health bars.
Well, they're a hater.
Yeah.
But there is a health bar, don't worry.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's move on. Okay, so I want to talk briefly about taking bruiser camps now will be easier if you can stutter step. So that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
The new roles, now they're going to actually have bruisers, tanks, support, healer, and etc. They already actually have that.
That's the long time in the making.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they actually already have that internally, but they're just going to make it public, for everyone to see in game now. So that's kind of cool.
That's probably in the next 6 months, though, right?
Probably.
I don't think they said it's coming out soon.
So actually, that's a good segue to
with the camps, though. Just backing up with the camps. Does this mean certain characters that weren't able to take camps so easily can take camps.
Yes.
The siege minion specifically.
Yeah, for the siege minions. The other, the five,
rhinos.
yeah, the rhino ones. The 5 person one is a little bit different. But
Mm-hmm.
do you think this will change a lot of characters who say, "Well, I can't take a camp because I'm not going to take damage now"? Like, it's not like there's a Vala that's going to be able to take camps now, right? What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's
could.
That's basically what it's for. It's for, like, if you're a good player, you can do it as Rainer, probably.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying almost every character can take at least the small camps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, assuming that you have opposable thumbs and are able to move your character in between attacks.
Yep. Yeah, and also allows, flexibility with, laning as well.
Who farted in chat said, wouldn't the new classes create a high barrier of entry for new players? Too much information to acclimate. Well, that's also part of what the laning changes are for. They're going to simplify some of the timers. So all map objectives are going to either start at 1 minute 30 or 3 minute mark, just depending on the map. And all the merc timers are also going to be standardized throughout the maps. The new classes, I think it's better because you are not giving inaccurate information. I'd rather have the correct information and be a little bit complicated rather than have the wrong information because, there are multiple different types of supports. There are multiple different types of warriors. And just to say that the Haka is the same warrior as an ETC is completely wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'd rather have that fixed and have it be a little bit more harder for newer players. But if they learn the new system and it's the correct way to think about a hero when you're learning it for the first time, that could be a big change.
Also, to talk about the too much information, Blizzard has said that they're going to not release as many characters next year, as well as they're going to space out stuff more instead of having a patch could have 2 reworks, a new character, and tons of other changes to other heroes. Now they're going to split it up where 1 week will be just the new hero, and then the next week will be two reworks, and then the next could be changes to other minor, characters and stuff like that. So they're actually are going to lessen the amount of information in a condensed amount of time moving forward, at least for the next year anyway. Which I think is a bad thing, but
I think also that the complexity of that information is going to matter as much as long as there are enough simple heroes for people to pick up and play. Just saying say Genji is an assassin is almost just sort of misleading to a player. Whereas if you just say Raynar is an assassin and Genji is a diver or something, as long as they know what an assassin is and that those characters are easy, they'll they'll tend to gravitate towards those characters and won't gravitate towards someone like Genji who might have a more off-putting title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and hopefully this means that they also update that easy, medium, hard system that they have going on. It's pretty misleading too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but again, I think we can all agree that if I came into the game fresh, right now, I would just be overwhelmed because Blizzard, we can all agree on this. They do a pretty shitty job for new players coming into the game who have no idea what's going on. Especially if you're learning a MOBA for the first time. They have Uther, show you how to buy stuff in the shop and then you're off playing games. So I think, Blizzard has an opportunity to make that better for everyone, but honestly, I think they're just relying on Squadron to make videos for them for some reason, but that's another story in itself.
But I mean, I think most players that come to this game have played a Blizzard game or MOBA game in the past.
Well, the one-timers that I've spoken to, this is their first MOBA.
Well, they've played StarCraft or Warcraft before, right? This isn't you're very unique in the sense that you've never played any type of video game online ever before.
I don't know. I mean, I know Mosley, who we met in LAX. This is his first one. I think maybe Loxley, this was his first one. A lot of people, this is their first MOBA. So, but either way,
not first MOBA, but this is also my first MOBA. No, we're not saying that. First Blizzard game.
Oh, okay. I guess so. But, I don't know. I would assume that playing StarCraft is completely different than playing HOTS.
No, that's actually the closest
really?
game to Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft.
It's very similar.
Well, let's move on from that.
Just because to show you don't play StarCraft at all.
No, and also it's free. It's free, by the way. If you want to play, it's all free now, I guess, right?
Yeah, you should try it.
I'm not going to do that.
It's Lost Vikings, but harder.
You already know how to play pretty much.
Play the missions on easy. That way you can get to learn like Raynor, Tychus, Kerrigan. Who's on the Wings of Liberty missions? Zeratul?
Zeratul is in a great set of Wings of Liberty missions, actually. Those are my favorite missions of the whole series, the trilogy.